All right, this is my Kaalia Zenith Seeker list. This will be the second one I put up on the channel. You've seen her before. She has Flying Vigilance. When you play her, you can look for the top 6 cards of your library, and you can grab a demon, dragon, or an angel, and you can grab like more than one of each. Like not one more than one demon, but you could grab like a demon and a dragon, or an angel and a dragon, or a dragon, demon, and angel. You know, any combination of that, or even just one of each. If you only reveal one. This one's a bit more creature-oriented, but here we go. Fragment Reality, you play this card because it's good. Exile target non-token artifact, creature, or enchantment, and then they get to pull a creature from their deck at random with a lesser mana cost. It comes into play tapped. This card's one of the best removals in the game, period. Swords Plowshares, probably like the best creature removal in the game. Exile target creature, you gain, or its controller gains life equal to its power. Lightning Bolt deals 3 damage to any target. Excellent removal. Fateful Absence, pops target creature or planeswalker. Its controller investigates. It means they make a clue token. What a clue token does is you can pay 2 and tap it, and they sacrifice it, and they draw a card. This card is excellent removal in aggro. You'll see it in a few of my aggro historic lists as a 3 or as a 4 of. Because getting them to spend mana is really good. Like, after a while, this removal kind of falls off because you'll notice them drawing the card. But usually it's worth it. If eliminate, it says pop target creature or planeswalker with mana value 3 or less. This is just an excellent removal. Really good against a lot of critical commanders like Kinnan and Sethis, to name a few. Fracture, pop target artifact, enchantment, or planeswalker. Excellent card. Molten Collapse, this is new to Arena. You choose one. If you descend, you choose both. You pop target creature or planeswalker, or pop target non-creature permanent, non-land permanent that's 1 mana value 1 or less. So it's like a few, I don't know. I don't really know what you hit with that. Probably like Authority of the Councils or something. Rip Apart deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker, pop target artifact or enchantment. It's you choose one or the other, but not both. This card's excellent removal. It hits like the most card types for 2 mana. Honestly, it really does. Outside maybe like there's another one that does. But Arcane Signet makes a mana rock. Lulu, Forgetful Hierophant. This is actually an angel. Has flying, specializes, and it specializes into a bunch of life gain things that care about flyers. When you play Lulu, she makes a little boon for you. The next creature you cast without flying perpetually gains flying. We play her because she's an angel. Resplendent Angel, if you gain 5 or more life, she makes a Sarah's Angel token, which is the Flying Vigilance 4/4. And then you can pay 6 mana and give her 2/2 and lifelink so she can satisfy her own condition. This card's all right. It's only really good when you start to break it early game, especially in like constructed formats, because it is in standard right now. And I do have a few, my next VOD will have some standard in it. Embodiment of Agonies, you play this in mostly Brawl, Blacklist, because it's good. It's got Flying and Death Touch, and then when you play it, you take all the different converted mana costs you have in your graveyard, and it gets a counter for each one of them. So, like, even if you have, like, 2 and a black, and then 2 black and 1, those are 2 different types of mana costs, so it gets counters for that. It says it right on the card. Like, this card can vary, typically in the late game, especially in Brawl, that card can typically be like a 3 mana 10/10 with Flying and Death Touch. A Murderous Rider, Swift End, pop target creature or planeswalker, and then you can play him as a 2/3, and then when he perishes, you send him to the bottom of the library instead. Brass Tunnels Grinder. When it enters the battlefield, you can draw and discard. Like you discard first, and you draw that many +1, and then if you descend like 4 times, it transforms into the Takatin, the Searing Rift. Add 1 red mana. Whenever you spend mana from that Searing Rift, you discover X, where X is the spell's mana value. It's a really good card. Anguish on making this card sweet. Exile target non-land permanent. You lose 3 life. This card's just an excellent removal. Mortify. Mortified pop target creature or an enchantment. Card's good. I think it's good, at least. Some people think it's not good. I think it's good. It's instant speed, too. Bedevil, pop target artifact creature or planeswalker. A little hard to cast, but it hits 3 things, so I think it's good. Chromatic Lantern, it omnifies their mana, so they all tap with 1 mana in any color, and it's a mana rock. Baleful Mastery, that exiles a creature or a planeswalker, and you can pay 2 for it, and if you pay 2 for it, they draw a card. So it's a lot like Fateful Absence, except it exiles. Or you can pay 4 for it, and then they don't draw a card. Consuming Oni, this guy is really good, in my opinion. He's got Flying Menace, and he curses a card in your hand whenever you cast it. You lose 3 life. He can stack curses on the same card, because it perpetually gains that, so... He can close out the game pretty quick if he comes down on turn 4. Like, really, really quick, so... That's why I like him. Itsushi, the Blazing Sky, has Flying and Trample, and then when he perishes, you choose one. You either create 3 treasure tokens, or exile the top 3 cards of your library. You may play them until your next turn. Decadent Dragon, his one side, it exiles the top 2 cards of your opponent's library, and you can play them. And you can cast mana as though it were any mana color to cast those cards. And it's got Flying and Trample, and then when he attacks, he makes a treasure token. He's just a lot of value. He's really cool. He's a Radicos dragon. Kaldar, Patron of Flames, has haste. Then whenever he attacks, he gets a counter on him. And then you exile a card from, like, your library. And when he dies with all those counters, you seek mana values. Like, seek is it just takes a card from your deck and puts it into your hand. So eventually he gets like a 1, 2, and a 3 if he attacks and like survives long enough. That's what he does. He's a 4/3. So Mizzix's Mastery. It can recast cards from your graveyard as long as they're sorceries or instants. And you can overload it and then cast each instant and sorcery from your graveyard. It's one of my favorite like win conditions with a Kaalia deck because we're playing Mardu. Opportunistic Dragon has Flying. When it enters the battlefield, it can swipe up a human or an artifact, and you can't attack or block with the human or the artifact, and you can't use it, but it just takes it from your opponent. Emerson Predator has Flying, and then whenever he taps, he gets a counter and eats up a card from a graveyard, and then you can sacrifice a creature and tap him, and he gains indestructible until end of turn. So he can survive board wipes and stuff, and... he eventually gets big. He's pretty menacing. Aurelia, Exemplar Justice. This card's cool. It's got Flying and Mentor. Means when she attacks, if something has less power than she does, she can give it a 1/1 counter. And she can target a creature at the start of combat and give it 2 attack. And if it's vigilant, it gets vigilance if it's white, and it gets trample if it's red. So that's pretty good. Archangel Avacyn has Flash, Flying, and Vigilance, and then when she enters the battlefield, creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn, and then whenever a non-angel dies, she turns into Avacyn the Purifier at the end of the next turn, or the beginning of the next end step, or the next upkeep. Whenever she transforms, she deals 3 damage to each creature and each opponent, so... yeah, she's a pretty good card. Doom Whisper has Flying and Trample, pay 2 life, surveil 2. He's a 6/6. Junji the Midnight Sky has Flying and Menace. Then when he perishes, you choose one. Target opponent discards 2 cards, you lose 2 life. Or you pick target non-dragon creature from a graveyard, reanimate it back into the battlefield, and then you lose 2 life. So, this card's sweet. Yawgmoth's Vile Offering, put up 1 target creature or planeswalker from a graveyard in the battlefield under your control, and then you destroy up to target 1 creature or planeswalker. Mind you, it's a legendary sorcery, so you need a legendary out to cast it. So, and then you exile it, so you can't play it again, unfortunately. Bonya Horde Dracosaur. This is a Flying first strike. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top 2 cards of your library. You may play them this turn. If you exiled a land card this way, you create a 3/1 dinosaur token. If you exiled a non-land card this way, you create treasure tokens. So it can make you like a bunch of treasure tokens and dinosaurs. This card is really good. It's just a boatload of value, so definitely going to want to pick it up for red list. Burn Down the House, you choose one. It either deals 5 damage to each creature or each planeswalker, or you create 3/1/1 devil tokens that when they die, they ping something for 1. So, But yeah, I'm talking about the Dracosaur. He's cool. He's got like he's a newer card. He's a dinosaur, so he's good. Dinosaurs are way overpushed. Honestly. Again, we're going over Burn Down the House. You'll see Burn Down the House in pretty much every red list that I play. It's a red board wipe. It doubles as like a token producer, so it's pretty nice too. Chaos Ballor, he's really cool. He's got flying. At the beginning of each combat, and then when he enters the battlefield, you choose 2. Each mode must target a different player. He can deal 2 damage to each creature that person controls, and they perpetually gain 2 attack. He can deal 2 damage to target player. They make 2 treasure tokens. And he can make a target player discard their hand, and then they seek a card for each card they discarded. So seek is just the first cards that they find that aren't lands. Double Vision is an enchantment that the first instant or sorcery you cast per turn, you double it. Goldspan Dragon has flying and haste. When he attacks or gets targeted by a spell, he makes a treasure token, and then he doubles the mana that treasures give you. But yeah, so Goldspan Dragon goes in pretty much every list. He's got haste, too. I forgot to say that. Hour of Devastation. All creatures lose indestructible until end of turn. Hour of Devastation deals 5 damage to each creature and each non-Bolas Planeswalker. I crafted this card. I did it mainly for the loss of indestructibility. I'd say overall Burn Down the House is better, but this is good in like Bolas Planeswalkers lists. Terror of the Peaks has flying, and when it becomes the target of the spell, those spells cost an additional 3 life to cast, and then whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, he deals damage equal to its power to any target. So, there and back again. Up to 1 target creature can't block for as long as you control it. Second part is it grabs a mountain and places it straight into the battlefield. And then you create a Smog, which is a 6/6 flying haste dragon that when he dies, he makes 14 treasure tokens. So he's really good. Kaalia the Inexorable, her +1 puts a ghost form counter on it, and then like counter on a creature. And if that creature were to die or to be exiled, it just gets put back in your hand instead. And you're left behind with a 1/1 spirit. She can exile target non-land permanent. And then her ultimate is you can cast legendaries from your hand, graveyard, or exile once per turn for free, as long as it's a legendary. Alicia, Forgotten Archangel, has flying and lifelink. Whenever a creature dies while she's on your side of the board, at the end of the turn, it gets bounced back to your hand. And then whenever a creature's an opponent's controls dies, they exile instead. So she has like a rest in peace effect. So, kind of like a final rights effect is what we'll call those, where they replace dying with exile. We'll call those final rights from now on. So if you ever hear me refer to something as final rights, that's what I'm talking about. Devastating Mastery, you can pay 4 instead of paying that spell's mana cost. If you pay the 4, they take 2 of their permanents, return them back to their hand, and then you wipe the entire board. Or you pay 6 and wipe the entire board. It's a bit hard to cast because it's 4 white. That's why it doesn't go in too many lists. I decided to put it in here. Farewell. You choose 1 or more exile all creatures, artifacts, graveyards, and planeswalk or enchantments. Hour of Revelation costs 3 less if there are 10 or more permanents, and you wipe the board. It hits everything besides lands. Sanctuary Warden has flying. When it enters battlefield with 2 shield counters on it, you can remove counters from whenever it enters battlefield or the start of combat, and it can remove counters, and if you do, you create a 1/1 citizen token and draw a card. So this card's pretty good. It's a bit expensive. It's not super great in a nutshell, but it's not bad. Steel Seraph, this card's cool because you can pay it for its alternate cost, which makes it a 3-mana 3/3 with flying. Then at the beginning of your turn, you pick a creature, and you can give it flying, lifelink, or vigilance until end of turn. It's mostly good for its prototype. If it didn't have prototype, Steel Seraph would not be that good. Valkyrie Harbinger has flying and lifelink, and then whenever you gain 4 life, it makes a Sarah Angels token. It kind of is just like Resplendent Angel, except it's easier to do. Invasion of Fiora, when it enters battlefield, you choose 1 or both destroy all creatures or destroy all non-legendary creatures. And then when you win the battle by dealing it 4 damage, it turns into Marchesa, Resolute Monarch. She has Menace and Death Touch. Whenever she swings, she can remove all counters from a permanent. And then whenever you don't get attacked, you lose 1 life and draw a card. Inferno of the Star Mounts. This spell can't be countered, flying in haste. Inferno of the Star Mounts gets 1 attack until end of turn. When its power becomes 20 this way, it deals 20 damage to any target. That rarely ever happens. We just play him as a big flying and haste that can't be countered. Radicos, the Showstopper, has flying and trample. When he enters the battlefield, you flip a coin for each creature that's not a devil, demon, or imp, and you destroy them if they come up tails. So he kind of can randomly board wipe. Aurelia, the War Leader, has flying, vigilance, and haste. And then when she comes into play, or whenever she attacks, you get a second combat. So you untap all your guys and get a second combat. Angel of the Dire Hour, whenever she enters the play, she exiles all attacking creatures. So she's like a one-side, or she's like Settle the Wreckage, except without the huge downside. Seraph of the Sky's Blade, you can pay an alternate cost of 1 white and tapping 4 flyers, which we never do. She has flying and lifelink, and then she's like, other creatures with flying have indestructible. Sarah's Emissary has flying, and when she enters play, you choose a card super type, and you and all your creatures get protection from that card's super type. So that'd be like instant, sorcery, creature, planeswalker. Ancient Blast Dragon has flying, and then when he deals damage to a player via an attack, you roll a d20 and peel that many converted mana costs out of a graveyard. Star of Extinction is destroy target land, and then it deals 20 damage to each creature and each planeswalker. Kaalia, Intangible Slayer, has hexproof. Each opponent loses 3 life, and you gain 3 life. You can draw 2 cards with her 0, and then each opponent may scry 1. In her minus 3, she exiles target creature or enchantment. If it's a non-aura enchantment, you make a 1/1 spirit that's a copy of that card that you exiled. Except it's a 1/1 spirit. So this card's pretty good. The Balrog, Duran's Bane. So 7/5 with haste. Spell costs 1 last for each permanent you sacrifice this turn. It can't be blocked except by legendary creatures. When he dies, destroy target artifact or creature an opponent controls. Avacyn, Angel of Hope, has flying, vigilance, and indestructible. Other permanents you control have indestructible. Undo Inversion, pop all non-land permanents. It comes into play as a tapped white source. Gristleblade has flying and lifelink, and you can pay 7 and draw 7 cards. All right, this first match is a win. It's against Richie Jr. or Richthy. This is Lilia, the Blade Reforged. She's a really good commander. She got like she's a 2/2 haste. I believe she has first strike as well. And what she cares about is cards getting exiled. She sees cards getting exiled. She gets a 1/1 counter. And she's actually a really strong commander. She can get out of control pretty quick. They lead off strong with a Bomat Courier. He's in my power 1 list. This card is insanely good. This card like warped a whole format around him. He's got haste, and then whenever he attacks, you exile the top card of your library and put it underneath him. And then you can pay 1 red and sacrifice or discard your hand. And then you sacrifice Bomat, and he swaps whatever. Like you discard your hand, and then you get all the cards that are tucked underneath him. They go ahead and play Charming Scoundrel here, making a treasure token. That's like the red has 3 different effects. It's like all Eldraine stuff, and then like the treasure token. 90% of the time you see it played, they're making the treasure token. Because the other 2 effects are like, one's like a cursed roll, which like gives it 1 attack and 1 defense, and then like when the cursed roll gets removed, it deals 1 damage, or like an opponent loses 1 life rather. And her other effect is like, I can't even remember honestly what her other effect is. Has something to do with like adventure cards. Like she can like remove an adventure card from exile or something like that. Anyways, we play a tapped Radicos source. But yeah, I'm commenting on Bomat Courier. He's one of the strongest red 1 mana cards. He's technically colorless, but we classify him as red because his mana pip for his good ability is red. You could technically, well, in Brawl, he's a red card because he's got red on the card. Because even if they're not a red card or any color card really for that matter, even if they're colorless, as long as they have an actual full colored pip on the card anywhere, even in an activated ability, that means that's their color classification. They play Lelia here. We go ahead and exile her before she gets too dangerous, because that card will run away with the game pretty quick, especially if you got quite a bit of like exile-y type of effects coming out. Because she's not once per turn. She herself, when she attacks, she exiles a card. So she can very easily put on 2, maybe 3 1/1 counters per turns. So she's quite explosive. If she's left to be the victim of her own devices, she will start just like going ham. So we go ahead and play Kaalia here. We could grab Inferno the Star Mounts because we find them. This deck's a little bit more creature-oriented, so we're not going to whiff as many times like we did the last time. We go ahead and they play this thing. It's Breach's Eager Pilgrim or Pillager. He's a pirate's payoff. He like whenever a pirate attacks, you choose one that hasn't been chosen. And so if you attack with like 3 pirates total, he does all of them because he's got 3 effects. But one of them's like, you can like exile cards, he can make treasure tokens, and he gets like something like pirates gain like first strike or something like that. You have to look. He's actually a really good card. Like, he's actually one of the, I'd say as far as the Lord effect is concerned, he's actually quite good. Maybe not dinosaur levels good, because I think dinosaurs as a creature type is just insane. But he's a really good card, nonetheless. Pirates were always like kind of like they were like cool, but never like good. They're like giants from Kaldheim, where they got like a really cool thing going on for them, but they're not super duper strong. But they're good in their own way. Like, they're fun. They're definitely like, you sit at the kitchen table and play them. They win the game, and you don't feel like you were kind of a butthole about it, you know, because like everything's super strong. Oh, something can't block. That's what he does. He can declare something to not be able to block, which is actually really good. I like to see that effect because that's typically a red effect. It's causing things not to block, which is actually pretty good because then you can just ignore something that's like big and dumb and gonna just get in your guy's way anyways. Anyways, we swing. Lisia's got life link, so we're feeling pretty good about that. Remember, she's got the final rights effect, and then if any of our creatures were to perish, at the end step of the turn that they die, or perish, excuse me, they get bounced back to your hand. So they still hit the graveyard, so she still satisfies certain types of cards that like, oh, if something hits the graveyard, do X. But they don't stay in the graveyard. She's actually really good with Sir Counter and the Grim. They quit here. I think it's just a life quit. Good game. The light one. This is we lose this one. We're up against Ghost Shintai of Life's Origin. This is the Shrine Commander. So this is the enchantments list. This is one of the few 5-color commanders I actually kind of like because he plays off of shrines. I always thought shrines were really cool, even as a kid. What shrines are is they're a bunch of enchantments that, like, if you control a shrine, you do X, and then they do more of X if you have them for more shrines that you have. We go second, which kind of sucks. So, but we play Thriving Bruff. I'm going on about Thriving cards. The Thriving cycle is pretty good for 3-color lists and more because you can pick the second color that it is. So if you're like good on a certain color, but you need a certain other color, then Thrivings are your go-to because they all come into play tapped. They're all commons, and then you can always pick what colors you want. We pull 3 demons here, which is really unfortunate. I mean, we have a full grip anyways, so we'd have to discard them. We go with Consuming Oni because Consuming Oni is definitely one of the better cards we got in the deck if we can play it early enough. We go ahead and pitch the Ancient Brass Dragon because we had a maximum hand size. Remember, maximum hand size is 7 cards. Unless you have an ability that says you can have more. Usually it says you have no maximum hand size. So that's usually what actually happens is you have no maximum hand size, but it's what the ability is. There usually isn't like, oh, you can have like 10 cards in hand instead. I think there might be a few in Magic. I think there's one that gives you like 13 cards in hand instead. It's because there's like a little pun in like one of the sets. It's about Triskophobia, which is the fear of the number 13. They Vanishing Verse are Oni, which really sucks because Consuming Oni, if you get him down enough, he promotes a boatload of damage relatively early. He can deal just tons and tons of damage, and he's really, really nice. So we go down here, play the 4-4, and we swing in with our 3-3. Say go. Okay, and then they play their Ghost Shintai here. Their Satyr Enchanter draws them a card. These are what's called Enchantress decks because, like, you play a lot of cards that are enchantments. And Enchantress strategy, like, whenever you cast an enchantment, do X. Enchantress decks are insane. They're very steamroll-y type of decks where once they get set up, they win the game. Like, it's, like, literally impossible for them to lose. We're pretty much already losing, but we're sticking it out because I have Hour of Devastation in hand. So at least we can vaporize the whole board and try and reset. No deck can handle too many board wipes. It's just the way that it is. But yeah, they play their Snake Dude. That Snake Dude, he can double the enchantment's triggered abilities. Sanctum of All comes down. That's a Shrines payoff. Like it lets you dig up shrines. We lose here because I think we don't end up with enough white mana is the really unfortunate thing. So we're trying to race them down is what we're trying to do. We go ahead and Murderous Rider the Snake Dude so they can't double the Shrine trigger. Go ahead and swing in with our guys. We're really desperately trying to race them down. Unfortunately, we lost our Oni right away. If we would have been able to keep that guy, we'd be able to race them down because that Sanctum of Stone's Fangs, that's the black card they have over there. It drains for the amount of shrines you have. And those little 1/1 derpy dudes, those little 1/1s, they're considered shrines too. Like this Ghost Shintai, I've never made the deck before, but or maybe I made one a long time ago. I don't think I've ever actually made the deck, but this is one of the few 5-color decks I actually like because there's an actual theme to it. Like there's actually a reason why you're playing 5 colors. You're not just playing 5 colors to play 5 colors. And have all these like fundamentally free casting broken cards that are just way too good. We play Kardar here. Because he's got haste. Again, we're trying to feverishly go ahead and race them down. They got 10 health. So here, they opt to just block with one of their shrines, which actually is a good thing for us because the Sanctum of Stonefangs has kept them alive. Like if that wasn't draining like it was, we would probably have been all right. They're the Kami card that they're playing, the Kami War or whatever, that bounced our guy. So he exiled Swords to Plowshares underneath him. When cards like that get bounced, like if they have like cards like Bomat Courier does that Carter guy does it. If they have like cards tucked underneath them and they get bounced, those cards get immediately exiled because they're already considered in exiled. It's just you kind of tuck them underneath the card because it's a good indication that they're kind of like carrying the parcel, if you will. And there's a lot of other cards. There's like creatures and artifacts and enchantments and such that do that type of stuff. But they're carrying your parcel, if you will. And if they get bounced, they lose the parcel. So that's a good way to look at it for like some of you newer players out there that may or may not watch this someday. Or if you don't know what Magic is at all. It's a good way to look at it. They lose the parcel, so... Yeah, they kind of just get ahead of us. That's the way enchantments go sometimes. Like, well, not sometimes, all the time. Enchantment lists, especially like this is one of the ones I actually respect because they're playing off of shrines. Which shrines were like new when I was younger, so I always thought they were really cool cards. But the way that enchantments go, they just kind of go over the top. Eventually, they're just like accruing way too much value for you to stop them, you know? Like, we get to the point where we actually have, like, lands and stuff like that. And enough to do something. Their dragon blocks here. They block with their Sanctum Weaver. That's the green chick. She causes, like, enchantments to not be able to be countered. Or creatures. It's creatures and enchantments, actually. She does both. And she can animate lands to make them enchantments. We go ahead and play Burn Down the House here. I'm pretty sure they use heroic intervention, which gives them hexproof and indestructible. Because we would have been all right if they didn't. Yeah, it's because they hit us with heroic intervention. That's fine. We lose. Good game, player. That was fun. So we lose. All right, this is up against Fear Zim. This is also a loss. And they're playing Sovereign Okinikahu. I left this in because I love this commander. You're about to see how explosive this card can be. They go ahead and start, and they go into the north. That allows you to search up a snow land. It's got the super type snow because there's a concept of a super type with snow, and a lot of the snow cards are like actually pretty powerful. Anyways, into the north allows you to grab a snow basic, and it puts it into play tapped, and then you say go for 2 mana. They play Key to the Archive here. They get their draft card, whatever it may be, and then discard a card. Go ahead and play a red source here. Play a Lulu. Forgotful Hollyphant. She's an elephant angel, and she's forgetful. Which is actually pretty funny because elephants are noted for their incredibly long memories. They can remember friends and stuff like that from their childhood and their youth. Typically, an Asian elephant has been noted to have a memory span of at least like 30 years. Which is pretty cool. A little fun fact for you. They use Demonic Tutor, which is one of the cards they tutored up with Key to the Archive, because Key to the Archive gives you a bunch of powerful cards. Demonic Tutor simply states you pay 2 mana, you dig up a card from your deck, and you place it straight to your hand. At no additional cost. They go ahead and grab Swiftfoot Boots. What Swiftfoot Boots does is it gives your commander hexproof and haste. And you can equip it for 1 mana. A lot of commanders that like need to stay on the board typically will run Swiftfoot Boots. We go ahead and specialize her here, because we get a few options with her since we're playing Mardu. We pitch Radicos the Showstopper. Actually, we opt not to. We thought about it. We're not going to. Because the red one, she like makes soldiers. Her red effect's actually really good. So if you ever play Hollyphant, definitely play her in a red list. I don't know how they work as a commander. I'm going to try her sometime. Because they're the background commanders. What a background is like it's like an enchantment that adds colors to your commander. And it gives you various effects. It's more of a physical thing. That's what those specializes are emulating, though. We go ahead and play Steel Seraph here. Go ahead and give our Hollyphant lifelink, so we gain 1 life because it's only got 1 attack. Poke him for 1, say go. Like I said, this is where that's why I left this Ahu list in, because this is like about as explosive as this commander gets. They play the Run Ring, which gives them protection from everything since they cast it from their hand. Mind you, they have to cast it. This really signs our downfall right here. We just go ahead and swing or quit. Or we thought about it. If they would have taken out our Mana Rock, we would have. But yeah, we go ahead and quit here because their guy is just huge, and it's a good game. So thanks for playing. All right, this is up against Milo. This one we lose right away as well. Oh, this is Hannah Alala Partners. I had to look. Yeah, this deck's explosive too. Because what this commander does is she gives 1/1 counters based on her current attack. And she gives haste on top of that. So again, like I said, you got to be careful of this commander as well, because she's very explosive. She can't give herself counters, though. So keep that in mind. She needs a buddy. So go ahead and play Chromatic Lantern here. We're really on the back foot because we went second. So that's something we got to be careful of. Toski, Bearer of Secrets, that really gets them into the end zone too, because they're going to draw 3 cards here because of Toski. Toski states he's indestructible, a 1/1, and then whenever he has to attack every turn, and then whenever one of your creatures deals combat damage to a player, you draw cards. So you draw cards for each one. So he's a very good card draw outlet for green. You could even play him as a mono green commander. You probably wouldn't feel too bad about it, because he is good. It's just like he can be kind of underwhelming if you don't invest into his body size, because he's only a 1/1. Yeah, they hit us with Kogla here, which they have it every time. So I'm pretty sure we pretty much like just quit here. Because we're about to, I think it's actually lethal anyways. Yeah, because he's like at 9. If it does, it leaves us at like 1, and we can't really get rid of everything. So, and they pop our artifact too. So yeah, we just like call it there. Like I said, that card's explosive. They had Kogla, so good game. All right, this is a win. I got everything flipped here. We're up against a green-red commander. It's a bit short. I can't read it, so because it's flipped. Oh, it's we're up against we're up against Weatherlight Captain Jehora. Whenever you play an art or a historic spell, you draw a card. Historics are artifacts, legendaries, and sagas. This card's pretty cool. There's a lot of like little infinite combos. I don't know if she's as good in Arena as she is in Paper. Probably not, because Paper you got like access to about like 30,000 plus more cards. But she's good. She's a really cool card. She's a really cool commander. She's still got legs in this game though. She's got plenty of stuff to work with. So that's something to keep in mind. They're just kind of playing lands. This is the flipped filter, so it takes everything and flips it. It keeps my camera the same because cameras are looking from a backwards perspective anyways. We go ahead and play our commander here. And we grab our angel and our dragon. We've been playing a lot of lands and mana rocks and stuff, so we're low on cards. We can draw to and not have to discard. There they go. Playing historics and drawing cards. She's pretty cool, though. She's a decent body, too. She's a 3/3 for 4. Which, given the strength of her ability, it's worth it. Like, her body's not too bad. They play that armor stuff. It's like an equipment. It gives, like, 2/2, and it can equip to legendaries for, like, free. A lot of the new equipment's doing that, where they can equip for free. Or no, it gives only 2 attack, excuse me. Usually that's what's making like equipment's like kind of viable nowadays. Is the fact that it's equipping for free. That matters a lot nowadays. Works a lot like aura spells that happen to stick around that you can recast, quote unquote, by equipping them again. Otherwise, equipments were terrible. They weren't terrible. Well, yeah, they were terrible. Let's be fair. Most of them just weren't that good. We go ahead and play our Sanctuary Warden. She comes with 2 shield counters. Now, if you forget what shield counters do, is they give you a protection from damage one time. Like, if you were to take damage, you remove a shield counter instead. If you were to die or perish, you remove a shield counter instead. That's basically what they do. Is they give you like a one-time boon against both of those things. But it's any amount of damage. So even if you're like taking just like 1 ping damage, the shield counter still gets removed. So it's something to keep in mind. We're thinking here, they got the Platinum Angel, which means we can't win the game and they can't lose. So we go ahead and board wipe here because she's got the shield counter. We're actually playing around that aspect. And whenever she attacks, she can remove counters from stuff and make another 1/1 and draw us a card. But we're really just kind of playing her as an angel at face value. We're not really utilizing her strengths. Which she's actually still pretty good because, I mean, she's a 6-drop, but she's still a 5/5 with flying. And then comes with 2 shield counters, not just 1, which is really nice. So usually she can at least get you like a draw and a dude, too. So she's usually a 6/6 spread across 2 bodies that draws you a card. Like, it doesn't really get much better than that. That's still pretty good for 6 mana. Without it being, like, absurd. Like, obviously, there's, like, better cards. Like, a lot better cards. But for white, that's pretty good. And for angels. Because angels are a bit of an older creature type, so they still have weaknesses on them. They're one of the old crew. So, and a lot of creature types like them, they have weaknesses. They're not like dinosaurs and like some of the newer creature types too that keep getting like pushed to the moon. So they don't have any weaknesses. You know, like dinosaurs, because dinosaurs are relatively new. So they're big and they all do like strong things. So somebody likes dinosaurs. We play Aurelia the War Leader here. That's what seals our win because it allows us to attack twice. So good game. Thanks for playing. All right. This is the last one of the night on this video. So we go first, and this is a win. This is up against Prosper Tomebound. He's a Radicos commander that when you play cards from exile, you get a treasure token. And he exiles cards for you at the end of your turn. And he holds on to you, or holds on to them for you for one turn. You get to play him for one turn. But yeah, so this will be the last game in the video. Thank you for watching this far. If you've made it this far, I appreciate you. So let's get into it. They play Diamond Pickaxe. I think that card's really good, actually. It's a new equipment from Ixalan. It gives 1 attack and 1 defense, and then when you attack, it makes a treasure token, and it's got indestructible. And it's only like 1 red mana. We get 2 demons here and an angel, so we take Chaos Beller. We don't take the angel because we're going to have to discard anyways, and we don't take Avacyn because she's 8 mana, so we can't play her anytime soon. We didn't want to discard her, so. And we're not playing Reanimator. I don't really like playing Reanimator that much. It's a very flimsy archetype. That's why I don't like playing it. We go ahead and play Double Vision. Now, if you don't remember, what Double Vision does is the first time we cast an instant and sorcery on each turn, so that can even be our opponent's turn, we copy it. We can't play sorceries at instant speed in this deck because we don't have Vlak and Orrery. That's like the Veldalkin Orrery or whatever. It's like a card that gives everything flash. That Mirkwood Bats. I know with this filter you can't see it's the romantic filter, but it's whenever you create tokens, it pings for 1, or it drains for 1, or it causes you to lose life, so it bleeds you for 1. When we just lose the 1 life and they don't gain it, we'll call it bleed. When we lose the 1 and they gain it, or they lose 1 and we gain it, we'll call it drain. But he bleeds us for 1. So when I say bleed, that's what I'm talking about, where it's just us losing life or them losing life. So it's just loss of life. There's no life gain with it. We'll call that bleed. We play Terror of the Peaks. Terror of the Peaks is a 5/4. He gets targeted. It costs 3 more life to target him. And whenever creatures come down, he looks at their attack power and then deals damage to any target based upon that attack power. That's what he does. We swing it with our Kaalia. Remember, she's got flying and vigilance. And she's a 3/3 for 3. She's actually a really cool card. I might play her in Historic sometime just to try her out in Constructed. I think I have like 2 of her. But yeah, they play that new Dracosaur card. That card is really sweet. That card's really, really strong too. Because it draws you 2 extra cards per turn upon exiling them. And if you exile lands with it, you get 3/1 dinosaurs. Because why not? Like I said, you'll find that throughout some time I'm going to have a general disdain for dinosaurs because they are a very pushed archetype. It's alright though. It is what it is. They're dinosaurs. Their brains are little, so they need all the help they can get. If they didn't have it, who would? Who would help the dinosaurs? Caveman wouldn't. Modern man requires modern dinosaurs. We swing. We say go. Deal 8 there. Play the 1 ring. Gives them protection from everything. So for 1 turn, they really can't be pretty much affected by it. Because when a player gets protection from everything, that pretty much stops anything happening to that player. The only thing I can think of that protection wouldn't be stopping is drain or bleed effects. Because it doesn't actually directly target and interfere with the player. It just happens. If it's an effect that just happens, protection doesn't really stop it. Because like board wipes don't get stopped by protection. Why? Because like they don't directly affect what they affect, if that makes sense. Doesn't directly interact with it. Go ahead and play Chaos Balor here. Pop their bats. Because their bats is, yeah, then they just quit. So, good game. Thanks for playing. All right, and then this is the plugs. The Grinch thanks you. That's my dog. I use a photo editing software. Anyways, you have a wonderful day. Stay safe out there. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.